Did you see what happened with Brad Dalke this week on the Good podcast in regards to him speaking about his struggles with alcohol?
Yeah, I saw that clip, man. It's crazy because like he was he was born and raised Christian, right?
I'm under the assumption he was, which that doesn't
Yeah,
mean nothing. But yeah, he raised in the disciplines of the Lord, as it says in Ephesians 6. I believe so.
dude. Yeah, I'm not trying to like be like, how dare you be an
For
alcohol?
sure,
You were
for sure,
raised Christian. Yeah, that's
for sure.
I'm definitely not
Yeah,
getting at that at all.
for sure.
And I don't want to say like I struggle with drinking, but I got in a time where I was all like, dude, I got too used to drinking. I'm like, I got to cut this out of my
Hmm.
life just because
Yeah.
I'd always be like, I like to have a little bit of whiskey at night, when I wind down. But it's like, dude, I
Yeah.
gotta,
Yeah.
yeah, it was. I don't think it was spiraling or anything like that. And I
Hmm.
can kind of, I don't know, it resonated with me a little bit
Mm.
when I listened to Brad Dalke talk about that. So I think it was encouraging. I hope that message kind of helps other people, find their way to cope through a more uh, like faith-based way to do
Hmm.
it instead of like just kind of the way the world does it. And I think that's like why like he was in the world, he's traveling,
Hmm.
he's not living up to his expectations that he has for himself and probably what the world has for him. And since he's estranged, like the devil likes to tempt you when you're alone, but when you're with a community, it's a little bit harder to get to you. And I
Hmm.
think all these things added up probably helped Brad Dalke kind of spiral out of control
Yeah.
uh, with this struggle. But I'm glad he talked about it.
Yeah.
Like the one reason why I was asking about his uh, his
Upbringing.
upbringing
Hmm.
was just more like I wonder like, and I don't know if he talked about this in the whole because I didn't watch the whole episode, but I
Hmm.
wonder if like he felt a lot of shame and then so he hid that and then that kind of also made it worse. Um, that would be a question for him, But
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
just like if you grew up Christian, you also have this expectation of I gotta be presentable as a Christian
Hmm.
instead of like kind of coming clean with your messes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
wonder if he like felt some shame and then to cope with that, he dove into his struggle even deeper.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. I know he said, from my understanding, a lot of it was golf induced because he put so
mhm.
much onus on, like, I'm not winning in golf. So at the time, again, if I'm quoting Brad correctly, he found comfort in alcohol. Now, alcohol is not bad. Scripture talks about the this is what my boy Austin Carr said long time ago. The buzz or the tipsiness that we get from alcohol is like the reward and the blessing of it. I'm still function. No, I won't say function because they're functioning alcoholics, but it's a way that makes me happy. I'm merry. I'm joyful. I'm dancing. Like those are good things that come from alcohol. But the drunkenness is what becomes an issue. And Brad Dalke talked about how obviously he almost died from alcohol. He said it wasn't a
Yeah.
driving drunk situation, anything like that, but like his dependency became so strong where it was close to leading him to death. And I think he said too, it's like, man, or maybe me and you were talking about, it's like golf doesn't owe you anything. He probably said that too, and I think you just kind of
Yeah,
elaborated
that's what I
on it.
said on the.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Golf doesn't owe you anything, man, and that just tells you the pain of when you put so dependent, you're too dependent on worldly things, and when you don't
Hmm.
become successful, that is not as fulfilling as when we give our life or our dependency on the Lord. I love what it says in Matthew 5:6. It says, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied." But unfortunately,
Hmm.
as the world we live in, we become too hungry and thirsty for the physical, tangible successes of life. Now, as an athlete, go try to win, work hard, do all those
Yeah.
things. Go be victorious, bro. But don't be so dependent on it where when you don't have those things, now your identity is now confused or um, just messy at this point.
Yeah.
Uh, we need to learn how to, again, have a dog mentality in the sports world, but be content with the win or the loss. Because when we come too dependent on it,
Yeah.
it can have us being dependent on other things that are not appropriate for our life. And I love what it says in Mark 8:36. It says, "What profit a man to gain the whole world but lose his soul?" And that's talking about even if we succeed in those things. If I gain the whole world, it's like there's still no full fruit in that. Even Brad Dalke was playing great golf, and you are number one, and you win the Masters. Like if you gain that whole thing, but you're losing your soul, like what benefit really is it? So I think the main thing we got to make sure that we're hungry, and we're thirsting for the righteousness of the Lord, man, because that's when we become fully satisfied. And from my understanding, the few conversations I had with Brad Dalke, because he's scared to come on Golf and Gospel and play me, is I love that he's allowing the Lord to sanctify him from what he was being due to, like the drunkenness of his life and stuff that he was doing because of the downfalls of golf.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I really like that he was bold in that. I hope it does encourage people. I hope it encouraged people because of the story, not because, again, Brad Dalke said it. I would hope that if anyone talks about how their life has been sanctified and changed from alcoholism or being a drunkard or whatever sin or vice they're dealing with, that it still encourage people in the gospel. But I do appreciate Brad Dalke being vulnerable in
Yeah.
that and speaking about that
Well,
moment.
yeah, and I said this when I was on your channel, like the Golf and Gospel channel, but
Yeah.
so I hate to reference that again, as
Nah,
I did this,
please
I
do.
did that last week,
Please do.
but it was kind of, I said like, dude, it's hard to not find your identity in that as
sure.
an athlete.
I understand.
I think so. I will say this: it is biblical to try to strive to be great, to do
sure.
great at your vocation. And for him, it's pro golf. For me, it's being a physical therapist. And just for anybody listening, it's like your vocation. You know, in the scripture it says like whatever your hands call you to do, do with all your might. So when that's happening, it's like, dude, you know, when you're golfing every day, it's really hard to not have that be your identity.
Yeah.
So I totally get it. But
Yeah.
it's just the golf doesn't owe you anything. It's fleeting, and you know, it's better to just put your identity in what the scripture says you are instead of like what the world says you are. You know, the world loves you one day, hates you the other day. Loves you one day, forgets who you are the next day. You know,
Right. Yeah. I think that's why it's important too. I love quoting 1 Timothy 4:8 when it says physical training is of some value. So, like you said, if we're put in the position to be a dog of a golf, football player, PT, whatever it may be, like be good at that. Train hard for that. Like there is value in working hard towards those things. But the next part of 1 Timothy 4:8 says, but training for godliness promises benefits in this life and the life to come. So we see we're more satisfied and there's more beneficial when we train for godliness. But sometimes we let ourselves and our occupation, whatever it may be so consuming that we don't even train for the thing that actually guarantees something. Like the word says that the physical training and whatever we're doing has some value, which is not guaranteed anything. But when we train for godliness, that promises benefits in this current life and the life to come. And I love what Paul says in Colossians 3:2 when he says, set your mind on things of above and not of this earth. So we want to have eternal mindsets when we're doing things. And I think even with that, having an eternal mindset, we can still be a dog in our sport. But we don't have to be so dependent on it. And we should be, I've been saying this before, people who've listened before, the same way we train for our occupation or our sport, we should be doing just as much or even more when it comes to training for the godliness. And I hope that's a challenge to you. I hope that's a challenge to me and the audience that's listening. Ultimately, man. But again, shout out to Brad Dalke for being ultimately vulnerable in that.
Yeah.
And I hope it brought people closer to the gospel and not necessarily good in Brad Dalke. They probably don't like me saying that.
for
I'm
sure.
gonna say it anyways. But I hope that is the real case, man. But again, guys, we appreciate you listening to Golf and Gospel Podcast. Please like, subscribe, share, say some stuff in the comments. Again, a lot of y'all be texting me like, yo, I like what you said here. I had some people on New Level like, yo, I love how you doing the New Level golfer. I'm like, bro, y'all should have said that in the comments, dog. It helps with traction. It helps the algorithm, man. But again, for the 121 people that are subscribed, the 24 people that are on Spotify, we're so grateful for you guys. And we see you on the next episode of Golf and Gospel. But I'll go eat some dinner and watch Sunday Night Football. Peace.
Peace.